Serbia, so he might not be watching. But Milorad Cavic of Serbia, and I don't know if y'all remember that race, but Cavic was here, coming to the wall. Phelps is here. They reach out. Cavic actually touches the wall just a hair in front of Phelps, but it was at the end of a kick, and he had to do again to give it pressure, because you don't just touch the wall, you have to hit pressure to cause the timer to stop. And Phelps was actually coming, and his hands touching, and Phelps hit. Phelps ended up winning the gold with 50.58 seconds. Cavic's times was 50.59 seconds. 1/100th of a second separated gold and silver. Separated an awesome Olympics or the greatest Olympics that has ever happened for one individual. 1/100th of a second. Do y'all know how quick? I don't even know if you can take a stopwatch and click it 2 times and it only do you 1/100th of a second. That is just so small. And we have to realize with our walk and our relationship with Christ, it's not the big things that make the huge difference. It's the little small things day in and day out. That's why Christ talked about the mustard seed and having a faith that small. It just takes small things. Small things. Not the big things, the extravagant things, the things that everybody gets to see, but the little small things that make a difference. A phone call, a letter, a visit, prayer, scripture reading, tithing, coming to church on a regular, little things that other people may not even think about, but you're doing little small things for the Lord. Those are the things that make the difference. Number 3, there's a price to pay to reach the next level. There's a price to pay to reach the next level. Anything that you do in life, if you want to take it to the next level, you're going to have to make a sacrifice. You're going to have to make a decision. Is this what I want? Because a lot of times to get to this next level, I have to be willing to give something up. I have to be willing to sacrifice something. Christ came and said, is this what I want to save these people from their sins? To give them a way to the Father, to give them a way to paradise? The answer was yes, but he had to make a sacrifice. To go to the next level, he had to make a sacrifice. And everything that we do in life, if we're working and doing it for the Lord, if we're not doing it man, but we're doing it for God's glory, you are going to have to make a sacrifice in your life. I do not care how you put it. I do not care what debate you may use. If you're going to give your all to advance, something is going to be sacrificed. Whether it's your time, whether it's your energy, whether it's your love, whatever it is, you're going to have to sacrifice and be vulnerable to go to that next level. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? There's a story I heard years ago. I think Ms. Barbara may have even sent it to me on an email. I think a lot of y'all probably have heard of it, but the teapot story about what a teapot goes through to become a beautiful, or a teacup to become a beautiful teacup. The other day, and I guess it was a couple of months ago, I had one of those teapot kind of moments. Keita and Dad were making a cake. Anytime that Keita makes a cake, Dad likes to help. And as I'm sitting there watching, because I'm not much in helping, but except in the part of getting rid of it. Everybody's got to do their part. It's the small things. It's the small things. Keita and Dad have a part, and I have a part. That's how it works out. But as I was watching them make the cake, I was thinking of the teacup, the teapot, and as I'm watching them make the cake, making a cake is actually a very violent and very brutal thing. First, they had 2 eggs that they shattered. Follow with me. I know it's one of those moments. Follow with me. You take some eggs and you crack them and you break them and you shatter and you destroy their home. You pour them into this blender, and then what do? You beat them. You pour in other ingredients, you beat them, you twist them, you swing them back and forth against the thing. So, I mean, it's a very abusive situation going on with making the cake. Once you get the cake made and everything's like it's on, you pour it into a pan, and then you slide it into an oven, and you turn it up to 350, 400. And it sits there, and it bakes, and it bakes, and it changes it, and it starts to just, I mean, we lay out in the sun when it's 100 and can't hardly stand it. It's like 350, 400 degrees in the oven. So it's sitting there baking and baking. Then you pull it out, and just to make sure it's all right, you take a toothpick and you jab it down into it. Anybody ever jab a toothpick into a cake to make sure it was okay? See, I'm not making this stuff up. If you've ever made a cake, I'm telling the truth. So you jab the toothpick down into it, you take it out, then you take out the cake, and after it cools, you take it and you flip it like that and slam it down on its head. And then once it hits, you take it and then you flip it back over the other way. So everything is about beating it, slamming it, and throwing other things on top of it, and twisting it, and cooking it, and jabbing and poking. And then it's finished, and you take the frosting and you cover the cake. And through all of this sacrifice and brutality, this cake has paid the price to make it to the next level. It's paid the price of, I'm going to have to go through this. And along the way, nobody's going to like me. Nobody ever eats a cake when you just put in eggs and flour. Then you add some more, and you add some more. And as the process grows, the sacrifices are there. But then at the end, the finished product, when all the sacrifices and all the pains and everything in life has been done, it has reached what it's supposed to be. That's called a reward. Do not work. Listen to these words again, y'all. Do not, whatever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive your reward. That is what life is about. You take it to the next level. You make the sacrifice. You do the small things. And at the end, no matter what you have gone through, no matter how brutal it has been, God has been using every step along the way. And you said, God, why? Why this situation? God, why? Why do you put me here? Why do you allow people to do this to me? Why do you allow me to get my heart broken? Why do you allow my loved ones to get hurt and get sick and die? Why do you allow me to get failures and lose jobs and not be able to provide? Why? And there's all these questions, and God's blending and He's mixing, and He's saying you don't see it right now. You do not see it, but I am forming a majestic cake. I am forming a life that when it's said and done and you stand in front of that great throne, that you will be able to say, now I understand. You were doing this because you had a plan. People, we have to live as if we're living through the Lord, because you will not stand in front of me on Judgment Day for me to cast the judgment upon you. You will not stand in front of anybody else in here. You will not stand in front of your family or friends. You will stand in front of God. Work as if you're working for God. Work even if people say, you can't do that. You're not that good at that. I know somebody else is better. I've seen it done better. Don't worry about it. You say, I'm doing this as if I'm doing it for God. If He's pleased with it, that's all I'm concerned with. Last but not least, and this is probably the biggest, and this one y'all probably already filled in. Remember, practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. I'm a big, used to be a really big basketball fan. Still am, but I just don't really have time to watch it much anymore. But few years back, I was a basketball player, played most of his career with the Philadelphia 76ers. Y'all may not know him, but his name was Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson got in some trouble one day because he didn't come to practice. And he was an all-star, one of the best guards in the NBA. And they did an interview on ESPN, and as they were talking to him, And they show it a lot still today. Allen Iverson looked at the reporters that were talking to him, and he said, "Practice? Man, we're talking about practice. Come on, practice? Really? Practice?" He was upset because he had gotten in trouble because he wasn't there for practice. And he's thinking, man, I'm always giving it to you on game day. I'm always giving, I'm an all-star. I'm the best there is at this position. I'm giving it to you on game day. Who needs to practice? Who needs to practice? I'm going to tell you what, a lot of victories in life do not go to the one who was the strongest or the fastest or the best. It goes to the one that had the biggest heart, that had the most desire, that was willing to put in the practices to pay the price. That's what underdog stories are about. Practice makes perfect. And everything that you do, your job, your school, with your friends, relationships, friends, marriages, everything, your walk with Christ, everything is centered around working hard, day in, day out, improving, doing it as if you're doing it for the Lord, giving your all, so that when it's all said and done, and you have started, and you've made your small steps, and you've improved, and you've put in the time, and you've put in the sacrifice, and you've kept practicing, even when you didn't want to. Practice it's about desire. You keep doing, and you keep doing. It will pay off in the end. I encourage you this week, whatever you do, when you go to your job tomorrow, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, or whenever, or tonight, whenever it happens, tell yourself when you go into work that day, whatever I do today, I will do for the glory of God, and I will do my best. And tomorrow, I will improve on any mistakes that I made along the way. And I promise you, you will see a change in your life. You will see a change in your life if you start working for the Lord and not working for man. If you would, please stand. We're fixing to dismiss with He Touched Me, page 367.